Well, this being New Year's Day, it doesn't happen on Sundays very often, but our service has started in this building uh, uh, um, 29 years ago on New Year's Day. So I think this is a kind of a momentous occasion today, and the intent for this Sunday, renewal of life, reminds me of the new year as well, because it's kind of the dying of the old and rebirth of the new. And we participate in both of those cycles. So uh, a death in this world is a rebirth in some other world, um, for us. And this is, I think, something to keep in mind as we go through some of the trials and tribulations that we suffer, is that there's always sort of a destructive phase, and then there's a creative phase, and then there's a sustaining phase. And so these are things we have to live with. But I think what brings the element of joy to New Year's Day is that idea of renewal, and I think that's a very important one. And I'd like to call to our attention this morning, particularly from the gospel reading from Hermes Trismegistus. We don't have very many gospels from them. Several lessons from the Hermetic readings, but this is the only Sunday in our lectionary where we have a gospel that's assigned to that, and so I think that's some import. So let us look a little bit at that reading. It really talks about the rebirth inside, the inner birth, the rebirth within us. And it very much reminds me of a lot of the Buddhist teachings. It says that the human being suffers by way of the passions. Well, not too much difference between the passions and the desires, the attachment that the Buddhists talk about. And those attachments are pretty sticky. Uh, it's kind of like flypaper for us in our minds. Our minds are kind of like the little fly caught in the flypaper. And so we have the opportunity for rebirth then, for renewal is an opportunity to get off that flypaper. And it talks about stilling the senses of the body. Well, that's one of the ways that one practices meditation is and we also have the sensory deprivation tank that accomplishes that purpose. It allows one to go more within. And then even the drumming in shamanic journeys is really uh, a way of distracting the mind from the senses of the body so that you can follow the sound of the drum into your inner world. And I like to think of the shamanic journey to the underworld as actually the deeper world. It's really a deeper world. It's more inner than that. So it's kind of, if you could think of the outer world as sort of being the sort of the horizontal crust, so to speak, of our psychological being. Well, and as we go penetrate down at that crust into our inner world, we the farther we go, the more we get to the source. So the source of our being is also the source of the universe. And this is a paradox. The Kabbalists talk about it as the highest is the innermost. And many of the Gnostic prayers are addressed to the inmost of the inmosts. It's you know, if you have some of these little keys, you can kind of open up every every little unusual saying in the Gnostic literature. It's how we get off that flypaper. And so this is, I think, what we need to have as our resolve for this New Year's Day is that we strive for that. New Year's resolution that means to have resolve. That means we must dedicate ourselves to that. And that we find also in the gospel reading today, that we must dedicate ourselves to that process. We must have faith in the process. We must dedicate ourselves to that inmost of the inmost. And then we will have that um, birth of the Godhead will take place within us. And so may the blessing of the mystery, that which hangs betwixt heaven and earth, go with you and remain with you always. Amen.